Is this 2022 BMW M5 really worth $40,000 more than the other 2022 BMW M5? Welcome to Petrol Lounge. This is an M5 CS, which is bigger, greater, better than the stock M5. And the crazy thing about it is it's $40,000 more than the M5. And just looking at it on paper, I'm going to tell you, you don't get that much. You get a 0 to 60 time, that's about 0.3 seconds faster. Quarter mile time, that's about half a second faster. And you get about 27 more horsepower out of this thing. And it really begs the question, why are you paying so much for this particular car? As we open the hood here, we are greeted by a big twin turbo V8 engine nestled in here. It's making over 660 horsepower, carbon fiber everywhere. This really finished out nicely, carbon fiber hood. Something I'm noticing when I open the hood is something that BMW has started doing, and it kind of confuses us here sometimes. There's no external hood latches, but there is a secondary latch. So there is a regulation that when you pull the hood latch, that the hood doesn't just pop open and fly open while you're driving down the highway. And usually the way the secondary latch works is you pop the hood from inside the car, you walk around, you grab the secondary latch under here somewhere, and you lift up the hood. The secondary latch in this car is controlled from the same thing as the primary latch. So basically you pull the latch system once and then you pull it again and you just walk around to the front and lift up the hood. There is nothing here, no mechanical thing that I can press if I only use the hood release one time. So it's, that's kind of a strange thing. There's not really anything to see under here anymore because everything's covered up, everything's tucked away, and the packaging has gotten so tight, especially on these bigger engines with more horsepower. There's just not any room to really even see anything, even if the covers weren't there. So, sometimes when I'm looking at these new cars, it's really strange to just look at the engine and kind of go, oh, well, it's an engine, but that kind of is all you can really see sometimes. And that's unfortunately the way it is here, that there's not a whole lot to look at under here other than some really nicely finished out carbon fiber. It's a great look. I love the M stripes here, and it even says M5 CS up under the hood in the carbon fiber, which is just a phenomenal, nice little touch. And the fact that the whole hood is carbon fiber is really amazing. And from what I understand from the base M5 to this one, they saved somewhere around 500 pounds of weight. And I'm sure some of that is this carbon fiber hood and the carbon fiber on the top of the car and just some of the other things that they pulled out or lightened. And that also helps with the performance. The lighter the car is, the better it's going to not just accelerate and brake, but handle as well. And that's kind of really where this car is going to shine, is not in the performance numbers so much, but actually when you get in the car and you drive. While we're here at the front of the car, I'm just kind of looking at all the little details here, and I'm looking at the matte paint here, which I've talked about before. I've talked about kind of why you don't want to have matte paint on your car. This is factory matte paint. You can see it, when you open the doors. It's still matte underneath the doors with all the door frames and everything else. But the owner of this one did have the car fully wrapped, so this has full paint protection on it. You have to put a stealth film on top of the matte paint, but this is what you want to do. If you're going to have the matte paint, you definitely want the wrap job on it. You don't have to worry about the paint anymore. It'll be perfectly protected. You can drive the car, you can enjoy the car, you can touch the car, you can touch the paint, not have to worry about if you scratch it or if you polish it too hard or whatever. It's just a way to have this look and kind of live worry-free about it. And I'm looking at the grille here, and I'm really glad that at least on the M5, they haven't gone to the new big, huge kidney grills. It's really beautiful here. It's accented really well with this gold trim that apparently they're doing on all of the CS models. And it's just a great, pretty front end that's, to me, it's very, well, I would say it's very classic BMW, but it's that BMW style that I feel like they do really well. And it's broken up just enough that it takes away your eye from just kind of how massive this is. We can't have the low slung sedan cars that we used to have where, today you have to worry about, well, what if I bump into a pedestrian, and that necessitates that the hood height is a certain level, and the cars are just bigger now, and especially in the luxury sedan models, they just get bigger and bigger because people expect more and more inside and they want more and more room. And we've gotten to a point where you can still have all of those things, all of the luxury, all of the room, and you don't have to give up the performance. So to do all that and to get all the safety in there that everyone requires, it's just going to be a big car these days. And I keep forgetting how big the car is until I'm literally right up next to it, and then I'm like, oh, yeah, this is a big car. It really is. You'll see more as we walk around and we look inside the car. It is massive, and it also weighs a lot. I mean, this is a heavy car no matter how you put it. It is a CS model. It has been lightened, but you're still talking about a car that's over 4,000 pounds. It's a beast. There's no way of getting away from it. You're going to feel it no matter what you do with the car. But let's keep looking here. Again, you're going to see a lot of use of carbon fiber down through here. And again, I look at this car, I look at the side of it, and I keep saying this is the kind of design that BMW does so well. It's very classic, it's very them. If you're into BMW, this is the type of style that you're gonna like, but it doesn't have the bangle butt. It doesn't have some of the awkwardness that we've seen recently in BMW. It's just a good, clean design. This is something that I think 20 years from now is going to be a very classic look. Will it be as classic and as iconic as the E39 M5? I don't know. I mean, I seem to be a horrible predictor of what's going to be, a future classic and what everybody's going to like 10 years from now, 20 years from now, but I do think this has that potential. This is a design that's not so wild that it ages quickly and poorly, and yet everything about it is just executed so well. It's just stunning to be up next to it. Coming around to the back of the car back here, there's not really a whole lot to talk about here. It is a perfectly functional rear end. Again, very elegant design. We have a really nice carbon diffuser, a really nice functional rear spoiler that is subtle and tasteful, which is kind of what you want on a car like this. And yeah, it's actually really a spacious trunk. It's even bigger than I expected. I don't know what I expected exactly, but I think I expected it to be about 60% the size. It goes way back. You couldn't lay down back there, but you definitely, if you put 4 people in this car and you put all their luggage back here and it doesn't fit, they're the kind of people that pack really, really heavy, or you're going overseas for, I don't know, the next 2 months or something like that. That is a lot of space. Well, that actually is about as good as I've gotten in. These seats are so crazy. I don't know that I've ever seen a seat like this from the factory in any car. And I'm even talking about Ferrari. I'm talking about Porsche. I'm talking about cars that really already, if you spec them out, they have super aggressive seats in them. These are even more than that. It's really deceiving. It's hard to explain, but these bolsters, the bolsters here are super high. And like I said, I'm not a big guy, and it's a fairly tight fit for me here in the seat. And it even has it's got this big center portion that goes between your legs. So you really are sitting in the seat one way and one way only. And it's carbon fiber down here. And I mean, when you sit down in this seat, you're like, oh, I'm in the seat. This is where I'm going to be. Well, I would tell you there's surprisingly little adjustment, but that's not true. There's surprisingly little movement. I can't move much in the seat, which is great because, like I said, this car has so much performance potential. But unlike most race seats, there is a full power seat on the side. Now, this is the other strange part. This is as low as the seat goes in the car. The owner of this car is a pretty tall guy. He likes to leave it down. I am really low in the car right now. I can't see over the hood. It's a really awkward position. But the craziest thing for me is I fit in everything. Every car is built for me, it feels like. I'm that perfect size of I'm not too big, I'm not too small. It doesn't matter what the car is. They designed it for people my size. I'm pretty much kind of the default human driver, I guess you could say, or the average human size. I don't really fit in this car. When I pull the seat all the way up, it's better, but I still feel low in the car. And even the steering wheel, I can get it to a position that works, but I don't know who they designed the car for. I don't know who these giants are that they thought were going to own this car. But if you are shorter than I am, if you're smaller than I am, this is not your car. You're not going to be able to see over the hood. You're not going to be able to drive normally in this car. So that's kind of interesting. Now you can, there is quite a bit of movement forward. I can get pretty close to the steering wheel. But again, seeing over the hood is going to be a little bit of a problem here. I can't tell you how many times I get in the back seat and I'm like, wow, this was poorly designed. I don't get to talk about it much because most of the cars here that I want to talk about, they're two-seaters, but this isn't. This is a true proper four-seat car. And when I first looked at these seats, my initial thought was I was a little disappointed that they weren't exactly like the front seats. I wanted them to be the front seats back here, and that would have been really cool. They're not. And I thought they were a little plain. I thought again, oh, it's, you know, they just kind of halfway did the back seats. They didn't really think about it. And then I sat down in them. And I'm going to tell you, they're way more aggressive than they look. They're not as aggressive as the front seats, not by a lot. But they're still, this, in any other car, this would be a super aggressive seat. I can't tell you how deep the buckets are and how, well, I would tell you how well I wedge into these seats, except unlike the front seats where I fit really well, I actually don't fit well in these seats. They make me feel like a kid because whoever they're designed for is a lot bigger person than me. They are big and wide, and the bolsters are huge. If I got thrown up against them, I'm gonna stick, but I really need to be about 50% bigger than I am to sit in the seat and actually feel like I'm comfortable. But that being said, back here is a nice place to be. The seat is perfectly comfortable, even if it isn't as aggressive and supportive as the front seats. And if you wanted to take me around a lap at COTA in this back seat, provided you're a competent driver, I'm going to be perfectly comfortable back here. I'm not going to get thrown around a whole lot. I can certainly brace myself very well without having to push against the door or push against the passenger over here. And there's plenty of room for my legs. This seat is actually pushed back as far as it will go. And I have plenty of leg room. I don't notice the intrusion. It's a little claustrophobic, but I've been in airline seats that were worse. For a back seat, this is really amazing. And I've got, vents back here. I've got, the stereo back here. I've got a little bin for my stuff if I need things. I've got separate climate control. And amazingly, it looks like I have a climate control for both the passenger and for each passenger rather, that this is dual zone back here. So you have a 4-zone climate control system. You could be as perfectly comfortable back here on a long trip as you can in the front seat, maybe even more so. I might actually fight you if we're driving from Austin to Houston. Maybe I want to ride back here. This might be better than the really hard, aggressive front bolstered seats. A neat little thing I just picked up on. I'm looking at the back seat back here, and I was wondering if there was a speaker or something. The headrest it's got a pattern in it, and then as I moved in the light, there's actually a a map of the Nürburgring on the back of the seat there. I'll have to look at the front seats and see if it's there as well. It's super subtle. I could have missed it. I just happened to catch it in the light just right. And I mean, it's just amazing. And this is the kind of car you know, if you want to do the ring taxi around Nürburgring, this is the kind of car you want to be in. This is the perfect car for that. If this isn't BMW's current ring taxi, I'm going to be extremely disappointed. I hope it is, and I hope that is kind of hearkening back to that and making a call out that, hey, you know, we do drive these cars around the ring and we take passengers around the ring, and you can pay for a seat in the car and enjoy a lap with a professional driver at speed. I'm really going to have to go and look up if that's the case. That's going to be amazing. Here we're talking about another 40% increase on the car. Is that worth it? Is it worth elevating from really good to, you know, special? For $40,000, there's a lot of cars I'd love to own. Regrettably, this is what happens when the base model car is already so unbelievably fast. Just to go a little bit faster costs so much more. But I do think this is a really special car. I'm really happy that it's here. I'm really happy that the owner let us share it with you. Let me kind of talk about it and be honest about my impressions with the car. That's something that, you know, a lot of times you don't really have total freedom to do. You don't, you know, we never want to call anybody's baby ugly. And, you know, it's sometimes difficult to kind of skirt around some of the issues that you find and say, well, we're just going to talk about that. And, you know, sometimes if a manufacturer is dropping it off on you, you're really limited on what you can talk about and what you can say, because you definitely want to make sure you get the next car. So yeah, I'm really happy I got to share it with you today. I'm really happy that you joined us today. And, you know, take a look around, because there's all kind of crazy stuff here, and I can't wait to share all of it with you, and we're going to do that. So hit like and subscribe below, and just keep tuning in, because it's going to be here. We're going to show you some amazing stuff. And until next time.